In today's video, I'm going to be showing you how to take your builds from looking like this to looking like this. Also, I split this video into 3 parts. First, I'm going to be showing you the fundamental skills of sprint building and editing. Then, I'm going to show you some practice techniques to sprint build and edit. And finally, I'll end off with some retakes that look good while sprinting. And getting straight into the video, the first fundamental is quickly building. For example, for these sprint 90s, as you can see, I'm moving my camera very quickly so that I can place all the builds and sprint for a majority of the time. Once you add editing into the mix, this will allow for plenty of time to get all your edits off. The next fundamental I'll tell you about is multi-build editing. Sounds complicated, but all it really is placing 2 builds, so you only have to press your sprint button once to do 2 different edits. A good example of this is that you could be sprint building like this, which will make it a little bit harder to do. Or every single time you do an edit, you could place the wall and the ramp at once, so you only have to sprint once to get through both of them. And for this third fundamental skill, I'm going to put 2 clips side by side to see if you can notice what it is. Did you catch it? What it was that I was actually only sprinting for 2 edits on both of them, even though on the triple edit I placed an additional build. This is because every time you stop sprinting, it takes about half a second for your character to go back to normal. This allows you to sneak in more edits while sprint building without actually pressing your sprint bind an additional time. But now that we're done with the fundamental skills, let's get into the practice techniques. And the first practice technique I recommend is actually setting up edit courses for skills you want to learn. For example, what I'm setting up right now is just an edit course to practice doing triple edits. This will help you see if you're fast enough to do the editing. While practicing this, you may notice if you run into a wall normally, it'll look like this, and you'll completely stop and it'll be ruined. But while sprinting, if you run into a wall, it actually doesn't even look that bad because it still looks like you're running. So if you're stopped at an edit for an extra second, it's actually not the end of the world while sprint building. But for the next technique, I recommend using a slow-mo map like this one. And at first, you can slow down your speed and practice your timing while sprint building. And practicing it in faster speeds makes it so when you go back down to regular speed, it's way easier to get through your edits. And finally, this third one is not as much of a technique, but I recommend picking a very optimal sprint bind. For example, mine is left shift. This is optimal for me because it's the only thing my pinky ever presses other than my crouch button. But obviously you can't sprint and crouch at the same time, it doesn't really work. So I recommend a button you can press comfortably with all your fingers on movement. Now finally, I'm going to show you some different build techniques. First I'll do them slowly without sprinting, and then I'll do them while sprinting so you can see how it looks. First, we have any variation of double edits, triple edits, quad edits, etc. Next, we have the ramp wall tunnels. After that, we have wall wraps. Next, we have protected side jumps. Next, we have any variation of Rift 90s or Rift 180s. And something to note for that one actually may give you more time and make it easier to do more edits since you're jumping up so high. Next, we have these side double edit ramp things. That concludes this video, so if you enjoyed, make sure to like and subscribe.